Good morning and welcome to Global Insight. I'm Caroline. Today we are going to explore an environmental crisis threatening the residents of Solana City. The Darien River, once a source of clean water and life for this community, has now been transformed into a toxic waste dump. Industrial waste and neglect have pushed the river to the brink, impacting the ecosystem and human life. One of the main causes of this pollution is textile dye waste from factory eggs, which has yet to make an official statement on this situation. To begin our report, we'll jump right into our field reporter Rizki, who is on the riverbank showing the situation firsthand. Rizki, over to you.
Thank you, Caroline. I'm reporting live from the Darien River, which has undergone a significant change after its water turned red because the substantial discharge of dye. The source of this release is still under investigations, with focus directed towards Titan Weaves Industries, a prominent textile manufacturer nearby. Despite multiple inquiries, the company has declined to comment or provide an interview regarding the situation. The river, once a clear and steady flow, now presents a stark contrast to its usual appearance. The deep red color is visible for kilometers downstream, with discoloration heavily concentrated near the suspected discharge point. The riverbanks show signs of staining, with reddish marks on rock, soil, and other surfaces. Vegetation along the banks has absorbed the dye, resulting in plants displaying unnatural reddish tones. The surrounding environment has been notably affected. The air near the river carries a discernible chemical odor, lingering faintly but continuously, making the area less comfortable for residents and the visitors. The water appears slightly thicker in texture, flowing more slowly than usual, with an oily sheen visible on the surface under direct sunlight. Wildlife presence has noticeably decreased in the immediate area. Typically active birds, small mammals, and aquatic life are not as apparent today, raising questions about the potential impact on the river's ecosystem. Residents living near the river report concerns about possible contamination of nearby wells and water sources, which may rely on the river's flow. Local authorities and environmental experts have established an investigation based near the river monitor situations. Specialists are currently collecting water and soil samples to determine the chemical compositions of the dye and assess its potential environmental risk. Cleanup efforts are expected to begin once the source and scope of the discharge are fully determined. At this time, no official statement have been issued by the company or regulatory agencies, leaving many questions unanswered. Updates are expected as the investigation unfolds. Back to you, Caroline.
Thank you, Rizki. The impact of this pollution goes beyond the river itself. It's deeply affecting the people who live near it. Our reporter Eza is currently in one of the affected neighborhoods to speak with residents. Eza, over to you.
Thank you, Caroline. Now I'm in the location. Beside me, Mrs. Nafisa, a local resident here. So, Mrs. Nafisa, let me start by asking, when did you first notice the pollution in the river?
First, I noticed the pollution in the river is about 2 years ago. When the river started changing color, become darker. And at the time, we don't think much of it. But in the past year, it has gotten worse. Like, the smell is so terrible, and the river looks unnatural. The smell is so bad, and yes, maybe you can smell it now, and we, like we don't, we can't stay long for the near area because the smell is so bad.
Is this the first time something like this has happened?
No, the river has faced pollution before, but it's like a small thing. It's minor than compared with this time. Like before, maybe we just uh, has trash from the near areas only, and now it's like the chemicals and industrial waste, and it's the worst have been that I ever had in the river.
That's so heartbreaking. And how this environmental crisis has affected your family and your daily life?
Actually, it has been incredible hard for us. Like my husband was fisherman, he lost his livelihood because the fish are either dying or contaminated to eat. And also my children have fallen sick, like they have stomach issues, skin problems, and many else. Or even our well, which used to rely on for drinking water, now is usable. It's no longer safe. And yes, I think the river once like a blessing for us. Now it's like become a curse. And the factory dumping was here, and yes, no one to take responsibility of it.
That's so heartbreaking. And who do you think is responsible for this pollution?
I think the factories upstream, especially the Titan waves, the textile factory. Why? Because they dump the waste into the river, and the river start turning red, and like it's clear that they don't care about people living here.
Have there been any issue between new factory and local resident before?
Yes, there is the issue that before the factory opened and built here, we're just like worried about the pollution, but the factories like believe us to promise us to follow the regulation, and then follow the regulation, not harm the river, blah blah blah, and many else. Also, they had a meeting with us to believe us about don't worry about it, and then like they said it's everything would be fine, it's no problem, it is okay, blah blah blah. But now we know it's just like empty street. It's just a bullshit, I think. And the local authorities also didn't much either.
And where do you think this environmental issue, hasn't been resolved yet?
I think because money and power, like the factory is big and influential, right? So they can afford to delay or even avoid to not take not take the responsibility, and also, yes, the local government also slow to act. Meanwhile, people here like me and others suffering every day.
Thank you for sharing your story with us, and your words are powerful on how this crisis, especially polluted river water and affecting life here. Thank you. So, from the interview with Nafisa, one of the local residents near the polluted river, it can be stated that the dirty river declared for full smelling water near the Solana city dam indicates severe contamination. This pollution has been linked to untreated textile industry, waste, which flow from upstream to Solana city. The impact on the local community is devastating, such as loss of livelihoods for fishermen, health issues among children, and the contamination of vital water sources. Not only the livelihoods of local fishermen like Nafisa's husband, but also the health and safety of the entire hometown. Families are forced to spend money they don't have on bottled water, while the river, once a vital or important resource, has become a symbol of neglect and environmental damage. The local government has promised to take action, with environmental service in Solana coordinating with Central Java officials to investigate the issue and hold the responsible parties accountable. However, these promises are of little comfort to the residents who are living with the immediate consequence every day. What's at stake here is not just the health of the river, but the survival of an entire community or hometown. Without urgent and decisive action, the long-term effect on both the environment and the people could be irreversible. Titan waves and other industries must be held accountable, not just through fines or warnings, but through real change that prevents further damage. This is a story of a community fighting to reclaim its right to clean water, safe living conditions, and a future free from the fear of pollution. The Daria River is a lifeline for this area, and it's up to both the authorities and the industries responsible to restore it to what it once was, a source of life, not a cause of suffering. I'm Eza Sangrilla reporting from Nafisa's home near the polluted river. Caroline, back to you in the studio. Thank you.
Thank you, Eza, for sharing Nafisa's story as the representative of the community living near the Daria River. Now, we move on to the next section to gain our deeper understanding in environmental and health impacts and also possible solutions. I am joined in the studio by environmental expert, Professor Environmental Engineering, Professor Mauliana. Professor Mauliana recently visited the Daria River to assess the situation firsthand. Professor, can you tell us about your findings from your observation at the Daria River?
Okay, thank you for having me, Caroline. The situation at the Daria River is deeply concerning. These pollutants are extremely toxic to aquatic ecosystems, causing mass deaths among fish and other species. The fish and other organisms in the river are dying, and those that survive are absorbing toxins. When these toxins enter the food chain, they pose significant health risks to the community, including neurological damage and cancer. For people, the risks are even greater, like consuming fish from the river could lead to serious health issues such as organ damage and long-term illnesses.
Based on reports from our reporters, we have seen the river water turning red in some areas. What do you think is causing this, Professor?
That's a great question, Caroline. The red color comes from untreated waste, mainly from textile and chemical factories. These factories release dyes and heavy metals directly into the water. The red color is a clear sign of high pollution, which not only harms to the river but also makes the water dangerous for people and animals.
So based on your statement, this red water contains dangerous chemicals.
Exactly. Those chemicals can cause severe health problems like skin irritation and breathing issues, and also damage aquatic life. It's very dangerous for anyone who uses or drink this water.
Professor Mauliana, you have mentioned dangerous chemicals being released into the Daria River. Can you tell us more about the specific materials that are polluting the river and their impacts?
Yeah, absolutely, Caroline. The main pollutants in the Daria River are industrial waste products, including dyes, heavy metals like lead, mercury, and cadmium, as well as chemical solvents and untreated sewage.
That sounds alarming. What kind of impacts are these materials having on the environment and people?
These materials are extremely dangerous. For example, heavy metals like lead and mercury can accumulate in fish and enter the food chain, leading to severe health issues such as neurological damage, kidney failure, and developmental problem in children. And dyes and chemical solvent, often from textile factories, reduce oxygen levels in the water, which kills aquatic life and disrupts the river's ecosystem.
What about untreated sewage? How serious is that?
For untreated sewage, it adds harmful bacteria and pathogens to the river. This not only contaminates the water supply but also causes diseases such as cholera, dysentery, and skin infection among the local communities that depends on the river for food and water.
It is shocking to hear how bad this pollution is. What do you think is the biggest cause of this problem?
Industrial waste is the biggest contributor, Caroline. Factories releasing untreated chemical waste are the primary source of pollution. This is why stronger enforcement of environmental regulation is crucial to address the crisis.
Thank you, Professor Mauliana, for explaining the sources and dangers of these pollutants. It highlights how urgent it is to take action. Are there any recent statistics that highlight how critical the problem is?
Yes, Caroline. Studies conducted last year revealed that the river toxicity levels have increased by 30% in just 5 years. Moreover, over 70% of the local population relies on the river for their daily water needs, meaning they are directly exposed to these dangerous pollutants. These numbers show the urgent need for intervention.
That is devastating. What are the immediate and long-term solutions to this crisis?
The immediate priority is enforcement. Factories must be held accountable for treating their waste before discharging it. Community-driven cleanup initiatives can also help, but they must be supported by strong government policies. In the long term, we need systematic change, better waste management systems, stricter environmental regulation, and educational campaigns to raise awareness about pollution and sustainability.
That is inspiring to hear. It shows that change is possible with collective effort. As we wrap up, what message would you like to convey to our viewers regarding the Daria River situation?
For the message, I urge everyone to recognize that protecting our rivers is vital for our health and future. We must advocate for stronger environmental protection and actively participate in local conservation efforts. Together, we can make a difference.
Thank you so much, Professor Mauliana, for your invaluable insights today. It is clear that urgent action is needed to address the pollution crisis at the Daria River.
Thank you for having me also, Caroline.
And thank you to our viewers for tuning in. Remember, every small action counts toward a healthier environment. Stay informed and engaged as we continue to cover this important issue. Good day.